You can start lying on your back in Shavasana. Okay, letting your body drop down in response to the pull of gravity. Sensing your body print. If you were to lie in, say, warm sand and then get up, visualize or imagine the print that your body would leave. You could think of it more like your silhouette. And feel the weight of your arms, the weight of your legs. And sense how your shoulders connect to the floor. Maybe they're oriented slightly different. Sense the orientation of your legs, the direction the knees are pointing, direction the toes are pointing. And just comparing the two sides with kind attention. And see if you can hold in your awareness at the same time the right arm and the left leg. Now try holding in awareness the left arm and the right leg together. In your mind's eye, kind of creating a connection between right hip and left shoulder. And then between left hip and right shoulder. And then returning to more of a full body awareness. Watching the breath coming in and going out. Now let's begin our movement inquiry by planting both feet roughly hips width apart. The feet will stay on the ground for this one, and we'll lunge one knee forward. So as you lunge the knee forward, that hip leaves the floor, or that side of the pelvis leaves the floor. And then allow the hip to come back down as you relax that reaching energy. Same thing, other leg. It's not a big movement here, or lunging the knee forward, like you could send your knee past your toes. keeping the foot on the ground. You might hold at the end range for a moment, and then release, and continue alternating here. Notice where you feel the sensation, probably through the hip, maybe through the side body, the lower back. Two sides of the pelvis might be moving differently. And then same movement, just try bringing the heels a little closer to the sitting bones and creating or more initiating or kind of confirming the movement by pushing the foot into the floor to drive the knee forward. Push the foot into the floor to drive the knee forward. Might have a slight different quality. The feet closer, and that kind of rooting action through the feet. Breath breathing you. And then let's pause at center. So the feet still planted, but the legs relatively relaxed. And then we'll lift one shoulder toward the sternum. So let the hand stay on the ground. The arm is just heavy, flip-floppy. The shoulder lifting up like you could curl the front of the shoulder in toward your upper chest. And then you can relax that shoulder down and do the same thing on the other side. Lifting the shoulder, curling it in toward the sternum. Head is relaxed. Jaw is relaxed. It's probably doing a little movement in response. Just let that happen. And now let's put together this shoulder lift with that knee lunge, or it's really an SI release, that driving the knee forward. So as you lift, say, right shoulder, drive your left knee forward. And then release down, lift the left shoulder toward the sternum, drive the right knee forward. So one shoulder, opposite leg. We're moving on diagonals today. About one more time, each side. And then letting the shoulders rest heavy on the ground. And we'll keep the feet planted about hips width apart. And now interlace the hands underneath the head. This is our spinal wave, kind of our foundational movement through the pelvis here. So press the arm bones down, rock toward your tailbone to create this gap or space between lower spine and the floor. And then exhale, root through the lower spine, lift your head, curling up. Following your breath, expanding skin below the navel with the inhale. Peeling the shoulder blades up away from the ground with the exhale. Introducing our next diagonal action here. So with your exhalations, as you curl up, bring the elbows across the midline toward one hip. Inhale, arms root down. expanding through the chest, and then exhale, elbows across the midline toward the opposite hip. So alternating your diagonal each time you curl up. And you can change the angle of reach sharply across the midline, just barely across the midline, and all the possibilities in between. Option to bring the knee toward the elbows as the elbows move toward the knee. Foot lands as you arch to your back bend and press the arms down. And then exhale, elbows and knee toward each other. Here too, you can vary a little bit your ankle. So elbows can move to the inner knee, the middle of the knee, the outer knee. Full breath in, let the belly breathe and stretch on the inhale, and then the belly compresses on the exhale. You might pause just a tiny bit longer than you are at the end of the exhalation, holding this squeezing, compressing action. And then letting the inhale flood back in. After your second side, whenever that is for you, slide the legs out straight and bring your arms down by your sides, coming to rest in Shavasana. Sense your subtle energy. You might feel tingling or pulsing or vibration. A sense of being alive. Now, similar SI release that we started with, but with the legs straight. So we can shift the left hip down away from the left side of the rib cage by pushing through the left heel and sliding the back of the leg away. And then relax that leg and do the same thing on the other side. Shifting or down slipping the right hip away from the right waist, pushing through the heel. Back of the leg slides away. Toes can pull toward you as you flex the foot. But try to really focus and initiate from the hips. And as that one hip slides down, the other hip is automatically going to slip up, slip, down, slip. And you can exaggerate that, the one hip shifting up while the other slides down. Sometimes we get lower back pain here because we're also flaring the ribs. So if you're feeling that, I bring the bottom of the rib cage down and keep it down. So you're not doing a back bend here. It's more lengthening through the lower back. Breath breathing you, or you could coordinate movement with breath. And then let's just take a rest for a moment. Let the legs be heavy. Arms by your sides. Palms up if that works for your shoulders. If it doesn't, palms down works also. So similar action now with the shoulders. We slide one shoulder down away from the ear and slide the other shoulder up toward the ear. Feel the shoulder blades gliding along the floor. You might feel sensation through the neck. Try to keep hands heavy, keeping your connection to the earth. Now combine the hip slip with the shoulder slide. So as your right shoulder slides up toward the ear, push through left heel. And then as left shoulder slides up toward the ear, push through right heel. Alternating here, working diagonal. So essentially same side shoulder and hip are moving up as the other two move down. If it's confusing, that might be easier to sense. And gradually arriving back at center, returning to stillness. Notice any residue of the movement. Let's open arms out to a T. Legs will stay as heavy as possible. So the end shape we're headed for is a traditional looking twist here, supine twist. We're going to try to keep the feet heavy on the floor and slide both knees up toward one elbow. And then slide the legs out straight. Legs as heavy as can be, slide the knees toward the other elbow. And then up straight. You could focus or at least be conscious of keeping the opposite shoulder heavy or even pressing it down. So as knees go to left elbow, sinking heavy through right shoulder, and vice versa. Few more times here. Option to straighten the top leg after the knees slide toward the elbow. Extending the top leg out in front of you, driving through the heel, and then you can bend the knee again, slide the legs out straight, knees toward the elbow, extending the leg out to the side, bending the knee, finding your slow, steady rhythm. If it's easy for you to grab the foot, you can add that little bit of leverage. It's just for a moment, so it's not a big deal. And then after your second side, whenever that is for you, bring your arms down and rest and observe. Notice what's arising. Okay, stay as heavy as you can. Maybe your head stays connected to the floor the whole time and roll onto your belly. Okay, hands stacked, forehead resting on the hands. Just checking in here with your body print once again. So head is down, noticing where you connect to the floor, relaxing the shoulders as much as you can. We'll keep the left arm as it is and rest the forehead on the left arm and stretch the right arm straight forward so the palm is down. If your shoulder is unhappy this way, you can take it wider, more like a Y, and that might be more comfortable. Okay, we're gonna keep the hips down and keep the head down for now and lift the left leg up. So left hip stays down, but leg lifts up. And then lowers back down. Let's try that a few more times. And as you lift, think reach also, like you're stretching the leg back away from you as you lift it up. Lifting and lowering. See if you can lift a little more from the inner thigh. That might feel different for the sacrum and the lower back. One more time. Strongly rooting through the hips, lifting the leg, reaching through the leg. And then we'll keep the leg down and press the left forearm down and lift head and chest and right arm. And lowering it back down. Pressing tops of the feet down, rooting through the forearm, shoulders down away from the ears. Front of the pelvis sinking into the floor, lifting up any amount. We're looking for moderate sensation. One more time, head, chest, and arm rising up, palm faces down or palm faces in. And then we'll put it all together here. So left leg lifting up, right arm lifting up, chest lifting, neck comfortable. Can hold at the end range for a moment. And then gradually lower down. Try to let go entirely once you lower. And then lift again. So left forearm and hand and even top of the right foot actively rooting down. Really moving the left shoulder blade down away from the ear. Releasing when you're ready. And if it's working for you, one more time. Arm and leg stretching away from each other, working the diagonal, sensing the diagonal. And this time as you lower, you can stack your hands and rest forehead on hands. Okay, we'll keep the right arm where it is and stretch the left arm forward, straight forward or out wider to accommodate any kind of shoulder pinchiness. Head is down here, lifting the right leg up. You can hold for a moment and then lower it back down. Keeping the hips rooted, lifting the leg and reaching through the leg. Lifting and lowering. Try lifting a little more from the inner thigh. See if that changes anything for you. Internal rotation. One more time, you need not lift as far as you can go if it's causing discomfort. I mean, we want to feel sensation in the back because we're working the back. We want to avoid pinchiness or sudden discomfort. Like a zap, no good. Once the leg lowers down, focus on lifting up through the left arm, the head, the chest. You can pause for a moment and then lower back down. Finding your own rhythm here. Whatever's on the ground can root down to help lift what's lifting, what's rising. Squeezing your glutes, your buttocks muscles might feel better for you. And then when it fits into your flow, we lift right leg and left arm. Hold for a moment. And then eventually lower back down. Incorporating a reaching action through the limbs, away from each other. About one more time. Feeling this diagonal line of energy through the body, what's on the ground, roots down. And then as you lower, you can stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands. Let's tuck the toes under. Walk the toes toward the knees and bring your hands to your elbows. You can walk the elbows back a little bit, but let's have them a little forward of the shoulders rather than right underneath the shoulders. Push through your heels, drive the elbows into the floor, and rise up to our cobra variation. Shoulders move down away from the ears. Let's untuck the toes. You can just keep hold of the elbows if you want and let the arms slide forward, resting forehead on arms. Tuck the toes under once again. Elbows can walk toward you a little bit if you prefer. And you're rising up to this prone back bend. Navel drawing forward and up toward the chin. Untuck the toes, bring your head down. One more time, our cobra variation. Walk your toes toward your knees, pressing the elbows strongly down to lift and lengthen through the front of your torso. From the belly all the way up to a soft opening for your throat. And this time as you lower down, you can tuck an arm underneath you and roll onto your back. Coming back into the full release of Shavasana. Ceasing to do, just be. Be the witness. Let's plant both feet about hips width apart. And interlace hands underneath the head. So we're coming back to symmetry here, back to the midline, arching to the back bend, press the arm bones down, and then exhale, curl in, elbows toward the knees at center. Couple more times, just like that. Breath-driven movement. Option to bring the knees in toward the elbows as the elbows curl up toward the knees. Feet lightly land at the same time on the in-breath. Knees curl in toward elbows with the out-breath. And the next time the feet come down, release your arms out from underneath your head. Let's bring the right knee in toward the chest, the help of the hands. And then option to slide the left leg out straight, pressing the back of the left thigh down, driving through the left heel. Maybe so much so that that hip slips down a little bit. You can stay here or bring right leg to happy baby, holding the thigh or the foot. Draw the knee toward the armpit. And maybe try hugging the right thigh a little closer to your trunk. Left hand can help root through the left thigh. Let's leave the leg as it is and stretch the arms alongside the ears. And it's a little weird. It's like a lunge on the ceiling. And then bring your arms down, bring your right foot down, and plant your left foot. Drawing the left knee in toward the chest with the help of the hands. Sliding the right leg straight, if you like, along the ground. Pressing the back of the right thigh down and pushing through the heel. That hip might kind of slip down toward the foot. From here, let's take hold of the foot or the thigh in half happy baby, Ananda Balasana. Knee toward armpit, thigh hugging in toward the trunk. Right hand can help root right thigh. Keep the leg where it is. Stretch the arms alongside the ears. And then release the arms down. And release the leg. You can plant the feet or have the leg straight for a moment. I know I said we were just going to use a couple blocks, but if you have a belt that you'd like to use, we're going to use the belt. So let's plant the feet again. And then slide the right leg straight onto the ground. Just have the belt handy for now. And down slip the right hip. So like slide the right leg further away from you. And then bring the leg up to vertical. Now, if you'd like to use a belt, you can take it around ideally your heel or your toe mounds rather than the arch of the foot. And let's externally rotate the right leg. So the inner thigh is rotating outward. The toes will point out to the side as a result. And then let's slide the left leg straight and press the back of the left thigh down. Right leg can move in closer to you. Left hand can help ground left thigh. Keep the pelvis level here. So you can keep using that left hand to guide the left thigh down and open right leg out to the right, away from the midline. Sliding or spinning, in a sense, the navel to the left. If you're getting a lot of sensation through the knee, try bending the knee and or squeezing the right thigh. Might be nice to bend the knee to bring the leg back up. Leg back up to vertical. We're still with the right leg in the air. You can re-extend the leg if you would prefer the leg to be straight. Switch the belt into the left hand. Let's open right arm out to a T and bring the right leg across as far as you like, maybe to the point where the right thigh, right leg is parallel to the floor. Let's not go all the way down so the foot is on the ground. So at most, leg parallel to the floor, but it doesn't have to be that far across. Rooting through the right shoulder. Turning the belly to the right. as the right leg stretches to the left. Let's keep a little liveliness in the left leg. So a little rooting, a little wakefulness of the foot rather than flippy floppy asleep. And maybe turning the head to look toward right arm. And carefully let's release the right leg and end up with both feet planted. Slide the left leg out straight and keep sliding it to down slip, down shift the hip, left hip, further away from you. Then bring the leg up and externally rotate it. So inner thigh rotating outward, toes will point out as a result. If you're using a belt, take it around the heel or the toe mounds rather than the arch. From here, you can slide the right leg out straight, pressing the back of the right thigh down, maybe right hand helping, and left leg perhaps coming closer in for more hamstring opening. Expansive breaths into the sides of the torso. Keep rooting through your right thigh, and right side of the pelvis stays down where it is, opening left leg out to the left, away from the midline. Turn your navel more to the right. Maybe that's just a visualization. If you're getting a lot of sensation in left knee, you can bend the knee and or squeeze the thigh muscles. See what's working to distribute the sensation more through the leg, less in the knee. Let's bring the leg back up to center. Switch the belt into the right hand, opening left arm out to a T. Bringing the left leg across over to the right, any amount, but not all the way down. So I guess not any amount. No further than leg parallel to the floor. So we just get a little more balance action for the sacrum here. Rooting through the left shoulder. You can still have that external rotation going on in the left leg. And right leg is still relatively active. So a little rooting of the thigh and spreading of the toes, maybe looking toward left arm. Carefully releasing, unwinding. Let's plant the feet again. Slide the right leg out straight. Keep sliding the right hip away from you. And then bring the leg just to vertical and relatively neutral. So you don't need to externally rotate here. You could if it feels better. Okay, we'll slide the left leg straight along the ground, stretching through the legs. It's like a split-like energy without moving the right leg past vertical, and then stretch arms alongside the ears. Palms face each other. All limbs stretching away from center. Warrior 3. Okay, and bring your arms down, plant your feet. Second side here. Sliding the right leg, this left leg out straight. Keep sliding the hip away from you. And then bring the leg up to vertical. Just vertical. Slide the right leg straight on the ground. And bring your arms alongside your ears. So we're in this warrior 3 shape. And all the limbs are stretching away from center. You can bring your arms down and slide the leg out straight. And then interlace your hands over your chest. Press palms up toward the ceiling. And take arms overhead. Stretch through your legs. Maybe legs come together. You can bring the bottom of the rib cage toward the floor to lengthen through the back body a little more. Hugging in toward the midline and then extending from the midline. Release all together to Shavasana. And notice what you notice. Okay, from here, you can bend your knees and roll to your side and make your way into child's pose. Let's rise up to all fours. And then flip the hands so the palms face up and your fingers point towards you. That's it. And gently rooting the backs of your hands toward the floor. You can also tuck your toes under and shift your hips slightly back to increase the sensation. Let's flip the hands so the palms are down, but fingers still point towards you. Spread the fingers as best you can. And then let's draw some circles around the wrists. That's it. Switch directions. Spiral back to center and plant your hands the normal way. So fingers point forward, hands are shoulder width apart or even a little wider. And let's place knees shoulder width apart as well. So this is a little scapular push up or shoulder blade push up. So first going to let the heart melt and the shoulder blades draw toward each other. So heart descending toward the ground, shoulder blades moving toward the spine. And then push the floor away and broaden the space between the shoulder blades, puffing up through the back. So the lower back and even mid back are staying quiet. That's differentiates it from cat cow. It's like a upper back cat cow. Similar. So you can find those two ends of the spectrum a few times. It's really good shoulder mobility here. One more time. And then after you kind of puff up through your back, just soften a little bit. So we're not quite fully protracted. There's just a little bit of shoulder blades toward the spine, little softening there. Toes tuck under, lift the knees so they just hover off the ground. Let's hold this for a few breaths. Lower your knees back down to the ground. If you've got a blanket on your mat, you can remove it and come into downward facing dog. Let's reconnect to this diagonal, this sense of diagonal energy in our body. So you push more through right hand and left foot. And then connect more with left hand and right foot. And then evenly through all limbs, but still sensing this kind of X in your body. Okay, either walk your hands back toward your feet or walk your feet up toward your hands and rise to stand. Beautiful. Great. Okay, you might end up wanting a block or two, so you can just have them handy here. We'll take a wide-legged forward fold. Bringing hands down so spine is parallel to the floor. So if you have to round to get your hands to the floor, then this is where blocks would be useful under both hands. And let's turn them, if you're using blocks, you maybe don't need them, but they'll be on the wide low setting here. I'm just using them for a demo. Okay, and let's have the fingers turning away from each other. Rooting through the legs. Keep your left hand down on the block or on the ground and bring your right hand to your right hip. Push through the left hand and start to find a twist to the right. Take your elbow back, take your shoulder back, and then bend your left knee. Bring awareness to the outer left foot. Slowly straighten the leg, rooting more through the outer edge of the foot and continuing the rotation through the spine, pushing the floor away, taking the shoulder and the elbow back, maybe extending up through the arm. So the left leg will get straight again where it was, where it started. Sometimes this left shoulder ends up creeping toward the ear, so draw it down away from the ear, and then be with your breath here. Unwind your spine. Right hand is down on block or earth, the fingers pointing out to the right. Left hand to the left hip. Beginning the rotation through the spine, push the floor or push the block with your right hand. Take your elbow and your shoulder further back behind you. Bend your right knee. Bring your awareness to the outer edge of your right foot. Slowly straighten the leg, rooting more through the outer edge of the right foot and continuing the rotation of your spine. Maybe extending the left arm up. Notice if right shoulder kind of hitched up toward the ear and draw it down. Be with your breath. Unwind your spine. At this point, you could use your blocks for your hands or maybe for your head. And bring your hands about shoulder width apart. If it's available, you can walk your hands back so your finger and your toe tips are aligned. There's just a little gathering of the shoulder blades onto the back, like when we were in all fours, same kind of action. So not a total collapse, not a big squeeze, just a little gather of shoulder blades toward the spine. Let's rise about halfway. And then you can heel toe your feet in until they're underneath your frame. And rise to stand. Making your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, reach up. Urdhva Hastasana, upward hands. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Let's plant the hands and step back to downward facing dog. Bring your right foot between your hands. Let's keep the left knee up if that is okay for you. And then you might want to walk your right foot a little bit more out to the right so there's a little bit more room. Let's bring the right forearm down toward the ground or to the ground to the right beneath your chest. And then open up, twisting to the left, to the right. Let's do that a few more times. Try not to drop. This really often happens as we drop the left hip So try lifting the left hip and dropping the right hip. You can find your rhythm here with this twist, but making it come more from the spine than from a shift of the hips. So hips relatively stable, relatively still. About one more time. And then eventually you can plant your right hand and press back, step back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, can step to the outside of the left foot. That'll give you better positioning from the start. Notice if the right hip is already dropping here. Try to lift the right hip and drop the left hip. Then left forearm coming to or toward the ground, right beneath your chest, opening up, twisting to your left. So especially when you open up into the twist, and try to lift the right hip. It's going to counter the body's natural tendency, most likely, to see how it feels. Great, let's bring the hands to the ground and press back to down dog. And then lower your knees down to the ground. And probably need to walk them forward a little so they're right underneath the hips. Step the right foot forward between the hands, rising up. We're in this square shaped lunge rather than a long, low lunge. So left knee directly beneath the left hip, right knee directly above the right ankle. Hands to hips, tuck back toes under and lift the back knee off the ground. That's it. And then straight down with the knee, however much you want. Maybe it just taps the ground and then rise back up. Slow, controlled movement. Can bring the knee all the way down, hands to the ground, and we'll switch sides. Knees beneath hips, left foot steps forward, 90 degrees, hip beneath, hip right above the knee, hands to the hips. When you're ready, tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee off the ground. And then go straight down with the knee. We're keeping the pelvis neutral. Okay, then you can come all the way back down, plant your hands, stepping back, downward facing dog. Either walking your hands back or walk your feet forward. And carefully rise all the way up to stand. Okay, let's set up for pyramid pose. And if you're working with blocks, let's place them toward the top of the mat. Maybe you don't use them in pyramid, but maybe you'll want them in warrior 3. Yay. Okay, right foot is forward here. We'll step the left foot back and point both hips directly forward. So there's this kind of scissoring action in the hips. Let's bring the hands to the hips, or if it's in your practice, to bring your hands to prayer behind your back. That works too. Either way, let's draw the elbows back and then fold forward. You can keep the hands where they are, or you can bring your hands down to blocks, a little more stability here. From here, if you're using blocks, we'll bring hands to the blocks and walk the blocks forward. So there's this sensation or action of reaching way forward, almost as far forward as you can get them. Shift your weight into your right leg and float the left leg and left thigh parallel to the floor. So the same scissoring action from pyramid is happening here. It's a lift of the right hip and a drop of the left hip. It can be overdone. So you just want to check maybe, does my sacrum feel level? Okay, and then maybe we're stretching right arm forward. Feeling this line of energy, reaching the crown of the head forward. Stretching long through all of your limbs from your center. You bring the hand back down. Let's bring the foot down and rise to stand. Okay, second side for pyramid. Step your right foot back. Both hips pointing directly forward. Hands can stay on the hips, hugging the elbows toward each other, or if it's in your practice, hands in reverse prayer, hands behind your back in prayer. Either way, we're lifting the elbows up and then folding forward. Maybe hands are happier on your blocks. Left hip is drawing back. Bring your hands to your blocks, out in front of you, far out in front of you, and start to reach your chest forward. Shift your weight into your left leg. We're coming into warrior 3. Floating the right leg back, or whatever your second side is. That's it. Chest extending forward. If there's any rounding in your spine, you might want to come up onto tippy fingers so you can get a little more opening for the front of the torso. Maybe extending left arm forward. Reach crown of the head forward. Scissoring action through the hips. Sacrum is level, so it's left hip up, right hip down. Stretch through your limbs from your center. Release the hand back down. Bring the foot down. Rising to stand. Okay, next we're gonna try a revolved triangle pose. So our foundation is the same as it was for pyramid. Let's start with the right foot forward, the hips square, scissor the hips, right hip back, left hip forward. We're going to keep that action going as we fold. So you can bring left arm up to start, and then continue to bring left hip forward, right hip back as you stretch out over the front leg. Maybe hand coming to block. Hips at this point get relatively still and quiet as you turn through the ribs and maybe extend through your arm. Root actively through the legs. Move the left shoulder down away from the ear. Okay, from here we're coming into revolved half moon. So let's bring the right hand to the hip. You can unwind your spine and bring your left hand to a block on the high setting. Again, bring your block out in front of you so that when you come up into basically warrior three again, the shoulder is stacked with the hand. Okay, so left leg is airborne, we're in warrior three, and then we twist to the right again, not through the hips, but through the ribs, and maybe extend through the right arm. Squeeze inner thighs toward each other, that will help with stability. Unwind your spine. Let's land the left foot next to the right and rise to stand. Revolved triangle, second side here, left foot forward. Scissor the hips, so they both shine forward. Stretch up through right arm. And then keep that action, that scissoring action going as you lengthen forward. Keep pulling the left hip back, bringing your right hand down. Then the hips get quiet and we keep rotating through the spine, feeling it's like the ribs rotate around the spine and then extending up maybe through left arm. Unwind your spine. We'll bring the right hand to a block on the highest setting and left hand to left hip. Coming up onto left leg, warrior three. Might have to shift the block, right block, so it's directly underneath the right shoulder. Stretch through the back leg, and when you're ready, adding rotation through the ribs, through the spine, maybe extending through left arm. Squeeze inner thighs toward the midline. Gently unwind your spine. Let's walk the feet back. You can touch down dog, or you can go right into child's pose. Okay, from here, we'll come back down to the ground for, let's work with supported bridge. So block handy, lying on your back. And lift your hips. Find the right setting for your block underneath your sacrum. If you like to stretch legs up, or if you like to stretch legs straight with heels on the ground, feel free to explore those options. Make it more about your breath. A few more breaths here. The legs are airborne or straight. Bring your feet back down to the ground. Then lift your hips to remove your block. And one vertebra at a time, come back down to earth. Stretch legs out. And come into Shavasana. Maybe layering back up. Or adding support under head or under knees. So you're comfortable. Bones gliding down through layers of muscle and tissue in response to the pull of gravity. Nothing to do. Enter a state of complete non-doing and simply rest. Come back into the river of breath. And begin to move and stretch in any way that helps you to reawaken. And as you feel ready, gently rise up to a seat. May we be grateful for this precious day, each breath, and this incredible human experience. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Peace to all beings everywhere. Thank you.